Hey yo Prodigies, so this video is a video that I've been wanting to make for a few days now. Basically it's an update on my grandfather's health condition. You might have noticed that I uploaded a couple of videos, I think it was this week, and I've definitely had some comments asking me how my grandfather is and how I am. So I want to quickly give you a rundown of what happened. Basically about 2 or 3 weeks ago on a Wednesday night, my grandfather started to experience chest pains, and by the way, I'm not going to explain everything in detail because I'm not really sure how comfortable he would be with people knowing his health condition, but I'll try and explain as much as possible so that the people who really cared about it understand what's going on. So he had a bit of a chest pain and a numbness in the arm, in his left arm, and he decided, I'll just massage it out and it'll be good, and that did happen. Then the next morning it happened again. My family got a little bit worried about it and so decided to get him to go see a doctor. The doctor examined him and he seemed fine at the time. He sent my grandfather home and performed some sort of blood test. I'm not really sure what it was. Later that afternoon, my grandfather and I go to shopping centers, we walk up and down hills and everything. We come back home and we receive a very urgent call from my doctor. He basically told us that he's going to call an ambulance because my grandfather was having a heart attack. It was seriously the most unexpected thing to hear that day, especially after all of the stuff we had done earlier. Going shopping, walking all over the place, going up and down hills and whatnot. The ambulance comes, they confirm the heart attack, and then we get whisked away to a hospital. The paramedics take my grandfather to some sort of laboratory or operating theater, and that's when I get sent to some sort of waiting room where I made that stream. Then we find out the scary stuff, and we find out that he had several blocked arteries around his heart, and one of them or some of them couldn't be cleared because of full blockages. So then that started a week or two of my grandfather going through tests and having to stay at hospital. Family's kind of scared about it, but also trying to keep positive about it because there's really no point in freaking out and being negative about it. Just have a positive outlook on the recovery, and hopefully the recovery will go the way that we wanted it. Positively. My grandfather is also a very fit man, so we all believed that that would help him a lot through his recovery. Anyway, I kept my word on my stream and on Twitter and Instagram and wherever else I updated the Prodigies, and I stuck by his side as much as I could for as long as I could. Even during some of the most grueling, crazy tests that he had to do, such as there was one where they had to inject him with some sort of nuclear dye or something. He was basically a radioactive man for several hours. Cut to this week a couple of days ago when I made the video on the new Bendy Chapter 1 Secret Sound. That video I made very quickly before I had to rush to the hospital and visit my grandfather, and that day was a really weird long day. So when I got there, we heard a little bit from nurses and doctors that my grandfather might be going home. We got several visits that day, and some of the people who came in were getting mixed messages. Some people didn't even look like they had any idea. Look, I have I have faith in the expertise and the professionalism of the staff at that hospital, but that day in particular was really confusing for us, and probably for them as well. It kind of seemed like they didn't know what was happening. So we were just sitting around wondering what the heck was going on. We decided to pack up just in case they were dispatching my grandfather, because at this point they hadn't done any surgery and they just did a bunch of tests to confirm whether he needed to do some sort of surgery, or some sort of operation. Thankfully, there was one very clued in, I guess, managerial nurse who knew exactly what was going on with my grandfather. She came in and explained the entire process, that he was going to be dispatched and we could go home, which was great news, except for the fact that we had no idea what was going on because we had the hospital telling us that he had a heart attack and they're also going to send him home after 2 weeks there doing tests and stuff. So the main gist of what we got from her explanation was that I guess he was healthy enough to come back home, but he needed to do a test or two more before he could actually be admitted to some kind of operation. That's where we stand right now. Things are still pretty busy, but at least I have a little more time to make videos here and there. I'm pretty sure my grandfather's really relieved to be home and not laying in some hospital bed, and is finally able to get some exercise in an environment that's not just limited to the four corners of a hospital room. So when I tell some of the Prodigies that he's on the path to a stable recovery, that is what I mean. We just don't know what's going on right now with a potential operation. Please send your positive vibes, positive energy, your prayers in support of whatever future operation happens. I'm always going to stay positive about it because there's really no point in being negative when somebody's in the hospital or just when they're really sick or having a down day in general. Even though it's not over, after all of this, I do really have to thank you, the Prodigies, for being so supportive and continuously checking up on us to see if my grandfather was okay and if I was okay. I think we did pretty good throughout this whole thing. something, and I'm quite sure we have a positive outcome ahead of us. Of course, it was really scary and disheartening for this to happen, but I think more than anything, this was super confusing because my grandfather's a really fit person, even for his age. So I think he's got this, and I'm sure you all think he's got this as well. I told him that all of you are rooting for him, so thank you so much. I mean, seriously, thank you a lot, because your words of support have also helped me get through this as well. I also want to give a big thank you to the Prodigies who've been showing positive feedback and support for the sorta new format that I've been doing lately, where I kind of talk to the camera and creep things out a bit. I hope I can do stuff like this more often with creepy subjects like other horror games or maybe conspiracy theories like I've been mentioning sometimes on Instagram. So do not freak out if you continue to see this format. I'm going to try and refine it as much as I can, and hopefully you will enjoy what's to come. I can't wait to get just as creeped out with you. Prodigies, I hope this helped clue you in, and please do let anybody close to you know how important they are to you. See ya!